thank you to all of you for coming here. Few words about DTU. We were founded almost 200 years ago by Hans Christian Ørsted. And the mission of DTU today is actually the same as way back, to develop and create value through technical and natural sciences for the benefit of society. So beautiful words, but I feel that we walk the talk quite well. Just a slide with some figures about education. I wouldn't go deep into it, but about 13,000 students from more than 100 countries, and almost 1/3 is female in this technical world. We are located in Denmark, a bit north of where we are now, with campuses spread across the small country, and also a campus on Greenland, the Arctic engineering, but also collaborations over the country. And one you may have heard of is the coming bridge between Denmark and Germany. And that's about DTU for now. Almost as short, the open science status in Denmark, a lot have happened through the latest years. Last year we got a national strategy based on the FAIR principles from the Ministry of Higher Education and Science. And implementation initiatives have followed, where I think the main to mention here was two tenders where consortia of universities could go together to bid to develop, host and support solutions for this future open science infrastructure in Denmark. And specifically two services, a national storage service for secure storage of research data, and the other one, a national trusted repository for publishing and archiving of research data. And both these services are expected to somehow come live in a version 1 next year. I think we're many to see how far in the first year. And on that basis, I will try to continue and say how does that affect how we view open science at DTU, and specifically from a DTU library point of view. I will get back to this system landscape overview a few times, so just very short here. 3 systems: DTU Findit, DTU Orbit, and DTU Data. But at this moment, saying that we're also developed, it's basically just a web tool, but a guide to open science at DTU, because I think, like all of you have experienced, this is a long process. There's a need for a lot of support, and at the moment, we might say that the incentive for the researchers are not that high. So it's a balance of, say, how should we as a library fit into this open science world that opens up. So the aim of the tool is to help our researchers, and basically in the different phases of their research. The tool is quite simple, so that on the left side, we have a focus on publications, on the right side, a focus on data. And then it's possible to, say, filter both on, is it publication or data set that's in my focus now, or do I want to know more about these 3 systems that we offer? The list is longer. Showing the different phases, and I will not go into detail, but it should be headlines that in a way appeals to the real world of the researchers. And if you go into one field, you can fold out and then see all these, wrong key, all these resources from common known external resources to some specific inside DTU resources. So basically you will be able to find the tool and use it as long as it's not pointing towards materials behind our firewall. It seems that people have taken quite well. We use it as part of the presentations when we go to departments and say, what can we offer? Then often this tool would be the starting point. Moving on to Findit, our library service platform, a discovery tool in the STEM area. We index a lot of data, about 200 million articles at the moment. And the idea is that there should be metadata coverage of everything of interest, no matter what you research at DTU. So also no matter if we have a license or not. But the idea is to offer a way to get to the material. It could be the online full text, the classical one with the licenses that we have, or the open access. But we've also integrated the possibility to order materials from a commercial document supplier, Reprint's Desk, if some of you uses it. So in a matter of hours or even minutes, if a researcher said, I want this, until they fully automated get an email saying that here is the link to the requested article. And then, of course, also ILL partners in both Denmark and other countries. And one rule we learned was that we had to build some rules so that we would not route an order for a Danish language article to Reprint's Desk in US. So there's a lot of language rules and type of material rules below saying how do we route these requests. Yeah, available not just for DTU people, but for everyone. And the search profile can be personalized, and yeah, you can share content. I put in a link if you want to see more. And just a quick sneak peek, when we're here in Porto, I couldn't resist trying to see what if I entered the exact phrase port wine, and it gave a little more than 3,000 hits. I was a bit amazed. On the right-hand side, here we have an open access article. There may be more down the line. So if you entered DTU Findit without a login, you would at least have this article. I'm logged in with my DTU profile, so I have an option of downloading an ebook, and I can also request scans from this external supplier. And over here, we will see which types of content this search match. And even we have 6 patents related to port wine. We can also help here, but again, it would be a manual process since it's the US Office of Patents. Quickly on, DTU Orbit is the name for Pure DTU. It was the name before, and it was kept after implementing Pure. We host the main system ourselves, and we have the portal in the sky. And no time for more here. The third system, DTU Data, our institutional repository for the research data. We've had it for something like 3 years, and it's a tool to help the researchers make their research data fair. And one thing that could be a small thing, but with the ability to assign DOIs has been one thing that's really, really valued. And then the possibility to control the access level. That fair does not mean open necessarily. So you could say, should it be full public accessible? Should it be limited access? Or should it be only the metadata access? And again, you can create workspaces to share materials with people you work with on research partners with private links, so behind the scene before you go publishing. And at that stage, the system offers the possibility to collect data sets into collections and use them for publication. It's Figshare in the engine. It's a long story why it was chosen. We can take it in the break if someone is interested. And then back to this system landscape, the 3 systems again, and a 4th one, which is not from the library, but a homegrown system from DTU called Equipment at DTU. The basic idea is to build a system where resources could be in a way more public, but also to make bookings and even with payment included. So it's a huge system. And the only point we have here is from the open science perspective. It also offers the option of assigning DOIs to equipment and very different types of equipment, from high performance computers to a wind tunnel that we see here, and much, much else. Still in progress. And again, as you know, it's the basis of being able to cite which equipment used for research, and again, make the measures and counting down the line. And then Findit, as I mentioned, is our main integration point that integrates it all. And persistent identifiers are essential. It's the basis for visualizing. So we get DOIs from Orbit, publisher versions of articles, OA versions, DTU Data, when you create a collection, a DOI is assigned, and the researchers can also put DOIs to related materials in the repository. The equipment, and then what I will try to show you just briefly in Findit, we also try to bring other sources of value in this aggregated view that meets you when you enter Findit. Here we are, as it says, in DTU Findit. We have the metadata of a data set up here, and to the right we have additional informations. We're told that it's a data file that's open accessible. It's accessible in our data repository, and we also have a related article. And if we click the related article link, we jump still in Findit, but now with the metadata for the full text article related to the data set from before, and with some options of downloading the article both from Orbit, our pure installation, but in this example also from PubMed. And then some of the examples of other stuff we try to put in is if we have some analysis, we would like to present them where it makes sense. So here we see that this article has been downloaded 83 times from Pure, and there's a citation quoting in different of the old metrics. If we click the Orbit link, we will come to the registration in Orbit or Pure, again with links to full text, but also a link to the data set here. And if we click this link, we will jump to DTU Data, the research data repository. And here again, with a link to the publisher version of the full text article. So this is trying to say how we use the persistent identifiers to try to present what is built and making value in these different systems. And quickly further, the Pure history at DTU. Before Pure, there was another homegrown system. I don't know any details of it, but it was called DTU Orbit, and that's the reason why we kept the name. In 2012, Pure was implemented at DTU. We were the last of the Danish universities, and it was before Elsevier, when Atira was still a name that we knew in Denmark, this small northern Jutland startup. And in 2019, we moved to the standard portal. And since that time, we've also added some in-house development of further functionality. And I'll try to give a short story of that. Part of the history is also that we moved from the old days where researchers, like many places, would have to do the registration of their research output themselves, or if they were lucky, with some administrative support. But since 2011-ish, the library started offering this registration as a central service. And a few bullets below that is that we, again, with Findit, have made automated searches to try to see how can we be aware of as much as possible of the research output of DTU without involving the researchers. And the numbers I've heard is that it should be about 60%. If we say articles, close to 100. But we are in the area that conference contributions, book chapters, patents, we don't find it. So here we need the input from the researchers. I've listed the number of modules that we have open for the researchers, and it's maybe most significant that we do not allow them to access the publication registrations, since we do it from a central service. But the other points are open, and we see that they use it more and more. We've heard several times that the richness of profiles is interesting, and we can feel that. Yes?
Sorry. Do the library people
Only the, yeah. Yes. So we get most of it as automated searches indicating where is it material, Web of Science, Scopus, etc., and using that as import sources. And then if we have something that we don't have, then we would typically have a full text from a conference contribution, which we have not found published anywhere in any one of the big international. Through the upload of pure or simply a mail. So it's offering, you could say that our policy is the researcher is responsible that their research output list is complete. And then we offer to say, what can we find without involving them? And then they are responsible to say, if something's missing from what we find, he or she will have to give that input to us.
I understand, but that's the question. How do they give you that input?
Either by the pure upload, as upload the full text, or send an email with the full text, and then that would be a very manual handhold registration.
Yeah.
So
okay, thank you.
So the goal is that number should be as small as possible, and since DTU have the majority of the publications in articles, and we are close to 100% coverage, it is say the exception to the rule. The one thing we don't like too much. The last module we put in place was the metadata import for data sets in the manual way, but we had a researcher from one department who said that profile was great that they could make projects, great that they could have articles shown, but could we have data sets shown? And it was shortly after the module was launched, so it was quite nice to hear that it was actually exactly what this researcher wanted. So, bit of a lucky punch. Quickly over how did it look back in 2012? The custom portal have this look. I've been told that it was more or less identical to the look of the prior system that was the homegrown one, and a result page looking like this. So quite different from today, where it looks like, yeah, everybody knows somebody with a picture from our main building, and we have turned on the SDGs. Profile page, research output, like you know it. So surely the new standard portal looks better than the old ones, but we missed some functionality. We had some reporting management statistic that fall away with the new portal. And that was one of the reasons why we say we have to develop something, of course, based on pure data, but homegrown. And very short, at DTU, we have part of the strategy process called UMV, where the library have the responsibility of reporting numbers of publications. And we do a bi-weekly automated report in Findit based on pure data that will show the numbers in total for DTU and brought down on each department and institute as an automated process. And it's publication figures and open access figures in these statistics. It looks like this, and you could say that it's based on this DTU strategy. Things have a number of categories that we count on, and the graphics show how does it look over the year. And if we go down here, then the numbers are clickable, so you can click on the number and say, okay, exactly what Web of Science index journals is behind this statistics. And here we are at one of the department, the math and computer science. We have this UMV tab, which is the strategy tab, so that when we come to end of year, there would be this final count, and that would be what the department is responsible towards the budgets or the goals for the year when they meet with the top management. And we have a follow-up in March, because in Denmark, there's also an open access policy where open access features are calculated once a year and a couple of test runs. And the result is done on a national level, so that there are features for each university. It's based on harvesting data from all the Pure installations. Since all the universities use Pure, it's been fairly easy for the ministry to get this developed. And DTU have put quite a lot of effort in, and especially perhaps especially in the beginning. It showed that we had something, but now we feel that the challenge of the Danish open access strategy is that a goal of 100% is at the moment not realistic. But these new transformative agreements, we hope that we can climb higher. We also use this. There was a question of what do the registration team do. The work of trying to get these numbers higher. We have made another integration. So we have a category called closed in this open access. The others are more obvious, open access and embargoed open access. But the figure here is the number of records in pure not open access. And if you click on the number, then Findit will show which records are behind this number to help the registration team saying, could there be a postprint that has come forward, or another thing that makes it possible to change to open access status. So an example of saying that we have some pure data, but showing them in another way and using it as a tool. Wrapping up, I think, is not necessary. So if there's questions, please feel free.